What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. As some of y'all should already know, I'm an artist, songwriter, and sync creative, which means that I create music for film and TV quite a bit. To date, I've had over 100 major TV placements on TV shows, movies, sports broadcasts. A question that seems to be bubbling in the music industry for a while now is sync in fact the new radio? As much as I would like to just give you a definitive yes or a definitive no, it all depends on what type of artist you are. Are you willing to follow some of the guidelines that it takes to create sync-friendly music? And to be honest, can you get on the radio? Some of the top artists in the game are basically taking advantage of both. They're getting their music featured on the radio, they're getting high streams, they're getting a lot of views on YouTube, and they're getting placements for their music, which is basically a grand slam at the end of the day. But for a lot of people that aren't necessarily signed to major labels, may not have a big publishing deal, may not have the ear of A&Rs at these companies that are willing to give you opportunities and things of that nature, a great opportunity to have your music played at a high clip, be able to develop some influence within the industry, have your music played right next to some of the top artists in the game, reach millions of people at once, create quarterly income for yourself off of royalties, and get some nice upfront payments depending on who you're working with. Sync is a very feasible solution, and it doesn't necessarily take for you to be the most popular person in the world to make it happen. Now, there's a website called Tunefind out there, and what Tunefind is, it's a resource for you to kind of find out what songs were played in each TV show or movie that's out. So if you want to know what they played on Euphoria last week, or what they played on the last episode of Stranger Things, or whatever TV shows that happen to come out, some get missed, but for the majority, if you go on Tunefind, you can find out the playlist of those records. They just released their top list of songs in sync from 2022, and I want to go over what those songs are and the effects that those songs were able to make impact-wise once they got played on these different projects. So the first song on the list is called Untitled by Killer Mike. This song was actually released 10 years ago on Killer Mike's project Rap Music, okay? That was a project that LP produced, basically the precursor to them creating Run the Jewels. Untitled, they got featured on Ozark Season 4, Episode 3, City on the Make. The song aired on Ozark on January 21st, 2022, and by January 29th, it was reaping all the rewards. The song had 1.7 million streams before it got featured on Ozark. The song is now at 2.8 million streams, so at one point it was sitting dormant. From one placement on Ozark, basically doubled the results of what it was already doing. Not to mention that the YouTube version of that same song got a surge of 150,000 streams from that placement as well. Going further back in time, you got Drink Before the War by Sinead Oconnor, which was actually released in 1987. And the song received an additional 3.5 million streams after being featured on Euphoria. That show runs through a lot of music, the soundtracks that they're able to create to what's going on the screen. It captivates your attention. There's a lot of stuff going on screen. If you've seen Euphoria, you know what I'm talking about. We can't get into all that right now. So basically, they experienced a 28.3% increase off of one placement. And again, going back to YouTube, the views for this song are currently at 2.1 million views, and 700,000 of those came after the Euphoria placement. And here's the kicker. The song received 1 million Shazams off that episode. Another show that's broken some records as far as their placements is Stranger Things. I've talked to you guys about the Kate Bush situation. We don't really got to rehash that. We're going to talk about Separate Ways by Journey and Steve Perry. Again, this is an old song released back in 1983. In this particular case, they didn't play the original version of the song. It was a remix, which actually led up to a re-release in 2022 as well. Once all the statistics were tallied up, they received a whopping 200,000 streams per day. Just last month in December, this song was getting roughly 65,000 streams per day. The right sync at the right time with the right artist, it could literally be life-changing. If you don't believe me, ask Lizzo. And one of the most interesting things to me about sync is that it doesn't require you to have brand spanking new music. With the traditional music industry as it stands right now, if you don't have brand new music, you're basically obsolete. When you start reaching out to playlisters, they only want music that was released within the last 2 weeks, as if it matters. A lot of times they don't want nothing that's older than 2 months old, which influences the artist to go back in the studio and create more music rather than create more content around that same music that's already out. But in sync, It's totally different. I've been getting emails lately for different briefs that are looking for authentic 70s music, authentic 80s, 90s music, songs that were actually made during those time periods. They don't even want new songs that sound old. They literally just want stuff from that time period. Now, how many people do you know that has been making music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s in your neighborhood that's just sitting on tracks that could be putting this stuff to work? A lot of us don't think of this type of stuff, but the opportunities are there if you're tapped in. But that's one of the main problems, is that because sync doesn't necessarily fit into our big picture, we want to be on the TV screen with our face. We want to be iced out. You know what I'm saying? We want to be the forefront rather than be the undertone. But really, in this business, it doesn't matter, especially when it comes to taking care of yourself and your family. They're going to appreciate you a lot more if you got 15 placements this year than you just putting songs on Spotify and saying you an artist. Not to mention the fact that some of these placements, man, they become so iconic, they even spiral and become TikTok viral hits, Instagram sounds that catch on, which could spark up demand for you to go on the road and tour, go on radio interviews or different YouTube platforms, do interviews. Sync is literally changing the lives of some of our most overlooked talent in the world. It's creating its own industry, its own group of celebrities, you know what I'm saying, that are almost just as important as any artist you could name, depending on the placements they have, the amount of money they're making, the upfront fees, the royalties. They're going to different conferences and they're being respected as if they were a primetime radio artist. So is sync the new radio? Maybe so. But one thing you don't have to do in order to get into sync is invest thousands upon thousands of dollars just to get in the door. Radio, you're going to have to bring the bag. What you guys think of this down below in the comments, man. Be sure to engage. I really would like to have a more responsive relationship with you guys, man. Like, let's talk. Let's chop it up. Let's really build a community over here, man. That's what I'm really doing this for. On top of education and all of that type of stuff, I mean, that is the primary goal. But I want to be able to have a back and forth dialogue with the people that are tuned in, so I can know that this stuff is really connecting with you guys and making a change in your lives. Otherwise, it's no purpose. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, be sure to like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the post notification bell for all updates. And I'm going to see you guys on the next one, all right? Much love and respect, y'all. Peace.